You know that person who physically cannot eat a meal without Netflix open? The one who delays dinner until they've queued up the perfect show? Who feels genuinely uncomfortable sitting at a table with just their food and their thoughts? Yeah, that person isn't addicted to screens. Their brain is doing something fascinating that most people don't understand. And what I'm about to tell you will completely change how you see this mealtime behavior. Let's jump right in. Eating is repetitive. Bite, chew, swallow, repeat for like 15 to 30 minutes, and your brain, specifically the part that craves stimulation, thinks that's incredibly boring. Scientists call this the novelty-seeking system. It's the part of your brain that lights up when something new or interesting happens, when you're scrolling and see a funny video, when a plot twist hits, when literally anything changes. Eating the same meal, using the same repetitive motions, that system is basically asleep. And for some people, having that system dormant feels deeply uncomfortable. It's like being stuck in traffic with no music. Technically, you're fine, but something feels missing. Studies show that people with higher novelty-seeking tendencies, the ones who get bored easily, who need variety, who constantly seek new experiences, are significantly more likely to pair meals with entertainment. Not because they can't focus on food, but because their brains are literally wired to need more stimulation than eating alone provides. For a lot of people, eating without distraction isn't only boring, it also makes them anxious. When you're watching something, your conscious attention is on the screen. The eating becomes automatic, background activity your body handles while your mind is occupied. But when you eat in silence, suddenly your mind has nowhere else to go, and guess what rushes in to fill that space? Every anxious thought you've been successfully ignoring all day. Did I send that email? Why did that conversation feel weird? What was that sound my car made? Am I eating too fast? Too slow? Why does my jaw click when I chew? Can other people hear me chewing? Am I chewing too loudly? Oh god, I'm thinking about chewing, now I can't do it normally. Watching something while eating, therefore, helps to manage that anxiety. Think of it like background music in a dentist's office. Nobody thinks the music is the point. It's there to give your brain something to focus on besides the drill. Same concept, just with chewing instead of teeth cleaning. And in case you didn't know, humans evolved to eat in groups. For thousands of years, mealtime was social time. You didn't eat alone unless something had gone terribly wrong. You were lost, exiled, or about to be eaten by a predator. Your brain still carries that programming. When you sit down to eat alone, some ancient part of your brain goes, wait, where is everybody? Is this safe? Are we in danger? This feels wrong. Now enter the television, or YouTube, or TikTok. Suddenly, you're not alone anymore. There are people on the screen, talking, laughing, living their lives. Your brain registers their presence and goes, oh, there's the group. We're safe. This is normal now. This is called parasocial interaction, and it's why watching someone on a screen can genuinely make you feel less lonely. You're not actually with those people, but your brain doesn't fully distinguish between people in the room and people I can see and hear. The ancient wiring just registers voice is present, face is visible, I am eating in a group. Stress level down. Okay, this one's going to sound a little weird, but stick with me. Some people genuinely enjoy the sensory experience of eating. The taste, the texture, the smell, they find it inherently engaging. Other people, though, find eating kind of underwhelming on a sensory level. This ties into something called sensory processing sensitivity. It's basically how strongly your nervous system reacts to stimuli. People with high sensitivity might find plain food overwhelming. Too much texture, too much awareness of chewing sounds, too much happening in their mouth. People with low sensitivity might find food understimulating, like their brain is waiting for more input that never arrives. Both groups might seek entertainment while eating, but for opposite reasons. The high sensitivity person needs distraction from the sensory experience of eating. The low sensitivity person needs distraction to add to the sensory experience. Either way, the screen provides a second stimulus that balances things out. And here's an absolutely wild thing that researchers discovered. Food literally tastes better when you're watching something enjoyable. Scientists did an experiment where they had people eat the same meal under different conditions. Some ate in silence, some watched a show they liked. The people watching something rated the food as tasting significantly better. Why? Because your brain blends experiences together. When you're watching something that makes you feel good, laughing at a comedy, invested in a drama, fascinated by a documentary, your brain releases dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical. And your brain associates that dopamine rush with everything happening at that moment, including the food you're eating. So that mediocre leftover pizza, when paired with a great show, your brain thinks this is amazing because the experience is amazing. It's the same reason food tastes better at parties, or why that gas station snack on a road trip with friends becomes a cherished memory.
Now let's talk about something that hits different for a lot of people. Eating feels like wasted time. We live in a culture that glorifies productivity. Every minute should be optimized. Every action should serve multiple purposes. Rest is lazy. Downtime is suspect. So when you sit down to eat, an activity that takes 15 to 30 minutes and produces no tangible output, your brain starts screaming. We could be doing something useful right now. We could be learning. We could be entertained. We could be catching up on that show everyone's talking about. We could be productive. Watching something while eating is a compromise. You're technically doing two things at once. You're multitasking, you're being efficient, so you feel less guilty. Your productivity demon is satisfied. You're not just eating, you're eating and staying informed, entertained, cultured. This is called productive procrastination, and it's why people feel weird taking lunch breaks without also answering emails, or eating dinner without also scrolling their phones. But there's also a practical reason people pair eating with watching. It creates structure. Think about it. If you work from home, or live alone, or have a completely flexible schedule, when are you supposed to eat? For a lot of people, meals don't happen at set times anymore. There's no lunch bell, no family dinner at 6 p.m. sharp, no routine forcing you to stop and eat. So you skip meals, or eat at random times, or forget entirely until you're shaky and irritable and can't figure out why. But if you have a show you're invested in, suddenly mealtime has an anchor. I'll eat when I watch the next episode. I'll make dinner and catch up on that series. Lunchtime is when I watch YouTube. The show becomes the trigger that reminds you to eat in the first place. Psychologists call this habit stacking. You're linking a behavior you need to do, eating, with a behavior you want to do, watching something. And honestly, if that's what gets you to actually feed yourself regularly, that's not a problem. That's a solution. Now, let's talk about something that affects a huge chunk of people who can't eat without watching: ADHD and dopamine regulation. If you have ADHD or ADHD-adjacent brain wiring, your dopamine system works differently. Your baseline dopamine is lower than that of neurotypical people, which means your brain is constantly seeking stimulation to bump those levels up. Eating, especially eating plain, boring food in silence, provides almost zero dopamine. But eating while watching something engaging? Now you've got dopamine from the show filling in what the meal can't provide. This is why people with ADHD often can't eat without a screen, forget to eat entirely if there's no external reminder, find boring foods genuinely difficult to eat, need music, podcasts, or videos playing constantly, feel physically uncomfortable in silence. It's not a preference, it's neurochemistry. This is also why just try mindful eating advice fails so spectacularly for ADHD people. You're asking a brain that's chronically understimulated to be satisfied with less stimulation. That's like telling someone who's freezing to just appreciate the cold.
People who can't eat without watching something are not less evolved. They haven't lost some imaginary skill that previous generations had. They've just figured out a way to make eating, a biological necessity that happens multiple times a day, more bearable. Because the goal is not to eat one way. The goal is to actually eat. And if Netflix is what makes that happen, then Netflix is your dinner companion. Hit subscribe if you want more videos that explain your weird habits without making you feel broken. Quick question. What's your go-to thing to watch while eating? Are you team Netflix, team YouTube, or team whatever's on? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. See you in the next one.